Welcome to the Kingdom Culture Podcast that was created on purpose with a purpose to empower, uplift, and guide others to the center of God's perfect will. Kingdom Culture family, welcome back to the Kingdom Culture Podcast. I hope you guys are all having an amazing week. This week, we're going to continue on with the lessons that I've learned through heartbreak. And this week, we're going to talk about what it looks like when you start imagining your future without this person, right? Like, what comes after a breakup? What does it look like? And at first, it's going to feel weird. I know that it did for me because I had goals with this certain person. I had a business that we were both very involved in, plans with our son, and it was really hard to see a future without him. And my mind kept defaulting into a future that included someone that's not going to be in my life anymore. Maybe because we co-parent, he's going to be in and out, but not as involved, if that makes sense, right? And so I didn't realize how much that was shaping my direction for what I was doing back then when I first left until he was totally gone. And I said, like, I have to stop moving or making decisions that will make my life a little bit harder and realize that this person is no longer going to be a part of it. I have to accept it. And the truth is that you're not just moving on, you're reimagining your future. And that's the truth that I had to come face to face with. And it was uncomfortable because it forced me to say, like, my life is mine. And you're going to say your life is still yours. Without them, without the old story, without the version of the future you were attached to. And that's where you get your power back. Not by forgetting the past, but by not letting it decide what comes next. And I realized that love was never supposed to be, a destination. It was supposed to be a part of my life and not my whole identity, right? And so I started to question things and question myself. And the first question I, said to myself is, what do I actually want my life to look like? So the question to you is, what do you actually want your life to look like? Because you're no longer going to look at the version you built around someone else. You need to build with the version that feels like peace, alignment, and growth for you. And so these are the 4 things that I started doing to kind of get my my mindset right and the direction back to what it needed to be, right? So number 1 was start imagining forward. Even if it feels unfamiliar. Picture your life without tying it to a person. So what are your routines, your P's, your goals? What do you want to achieve? What does it look like? Because you're not losing anything. You're expanding, right? And so we were in this little bubble, this little world that included somebody else for so long that we forgot that us ourselves can grow out of that. And so this is you kind of like laying out all of the things about you and expanding who you are, right? Number 2, it kind of goes into action with number 1 is set goals that have nothing to do with your past. New goals, new identity, right? Whether it's fitness, career-based, your faith, travel, skill building, like start putting energy into what builds you, not what broke you. Stop making decisions based on like what that person maybe would like. If that, maybe you were walking in eggshells because you thought that was going to upset the person. I know I was. So don't do that. Build into yourself and make the decisions right for you and see what you're capable of, right? This is the beautiful part that I'm learning is that I'm rebuilding who I am. I'm rebuilding outside of marriage. I'm rebuilding outside of being a mother. I'm rebuilding outside of being everything for somebody, right? And I'm being everything for myself. Number 3 was, I make small decisions that reflect your future self, not the version of you that's stuck in a memory. So, I've always tried my best to make decisions that are going to benefit my future. And that's just rooted in me since I was 17. But what I forgot to do was actually be calm and not run out of survival mode and have a calm nervous system. So small actions and decisions for me look like breathing every morning, journaling, praying, seeing more friends more often. I was so involved in his world that I forgot to see my friends very often. For the very first 3 years, it was just all about him, that I even didn't come home for birthdays or holidays. So what do those, choices look like for you? Because every small choice matters more than you think. It's aligning who you're becoming and the things that you're going to enjoy going forward, right? And number 4 was I stopped attaching fulfillment to one person. And that's where I got stuck, right? Because I thought love equals that I was complete. I said, but, and I would say this all the time, right? When I was 15, I would say, I'm never going to get married. I'm not going to have kids. I'm going to be the cool auntie that travels and takes care of my mom, right? And something shifted when I met him. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be 30. I'm going to have a kid. I'm going to have a house. I'm going to be married. My life is going to be amazing. And I did all that by the age of 26. And I thought I was complete. And then everything started to crumble. And I panicked. And I didn't know what to do. And I didn't know who I was. So my fulfillment was never meant to be outsourced. Yours isn't either. It's something you build in your own life first. It's something you build with Jesus. Nothing outside of him will fulfill you. Nothing. And so that was also a hard truth for me because I realized that I was putting my happiness, my joy, my fulfillment on something else and somebody else. And so when that person was no longer there, what happened? Everything crumbled, right? And that's what you need to stop doing, is stop attaching fulfillment to other things. Not a person, just, other things as well. Maybe your career, your self-image, all of these things that could be taken away. Like, stop putting your fulfillment and joy in other things outside of you, right? Because there's nothing you can do, say, or be that will make you more like you than you are right now, right? And so that was number 4. I stopped attaching my self-worth and fulfillment to one person. So remember, you're not starting over. You're starting forward. And I know it doesn't feel clear yet, but clarity comes after you move, not before. You don't have to have the whole future figured out. You just need to stop living in the one you already ended. You don't have to know what tomorrow is going to bring, but you have to stop acting today like somebody's still part of it, right? And like always, right, I have a Bible verse for you. This week's Bible verse is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. Not a future tied to what hurt you, but one that still belongs to you, right? That's what that verse says, because he says that he will prosper us and not harm us. And that really helped me realize that no matter what I go through, as long as I stick with the Lord and stay true to my values, everything will work out, right? So remember, you're not starting over. You're starting forward, and you got this. I know it can be hard to move forward from a person that meant everything and was your world. I lived it, but here I am, teaching you and rooting you on, right? So anyway, I hope to see you next week on the next episode. Please share, like, and subscribe. See you guys later.